Welcome to the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine podcast series where we cater to you mind, body, and soul. Join our host, Mr. Victor Francis, and his guests as they discuss nutrition, health, exercise, diabetes, and much more. Right here every Saturday at 7 p.m. Now, here's our host, Mr. Victor Francis.
Right. Good night. Good night. Good night. Welcome again, everybody, to another episode of Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Podcast. And tonight, I have a special guest tonight. Now, people, I have a lot of guests on this platform, and everybody is unique in their own way. But this particular guest is a friend of mine. I call him a brother from another mother, right? All right. That's my real friend, and also he is into health and wellness. His name is Brian Victor. He's a wellness ambassador, vast knowledge throughout the Caribbean. So, I mean, it's too much for me to say right now. He'll have to say it for himself. So let's introduce and welcome with warm arms Mr. Brian Victor, wellness ambassador. Right, Brian. Yes, man. Yes, man. My brother. Right. So,
my brother.
yes. Before we even get started, you do your thing.
Pleasure is
Nice,
always
man.
mine, boy. I mean, I have been watching your podcast for an extended period of time, and I mean, there's an excitement in getting to be placed in this space with you. So it's an honor and pleasure to be here, my brother. Honor and pleasure.
Well, before we get this fiery podcast on stream, because I know both of us have a lot of years of knowledge on health and wellness,
Of course.
right? For the viewers that don't know who you are, you could, let them know some of your what you've been doing, your background, because I view you and know you so long, and you are one of the ambassador that I acknowledge when it comes to health and wellness. You don't just you talk the talk, you actually walk the walk, and you had cross Caribbean intervention with people of not just Trinidad and Tobago. So you have idea, the wellness and the sickness and all these things that are happening, not just in Trinidad. You will have all those experience based on what you do. So just give us a update on and some info on yourself, so the viewers could appreciate this podcast more than they normally do, probably with guests that don't have your kind of knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, bro. My background, I have been in this health and wellness space for the last 2.5 decades, so almost 25 years. I am the former managing director of a health and wellness center where we employed several doctors and nurses, and we dealt with primary care and also preventative health, and we focus heavily on the aspect of wellness. My background is in nutraceuticals. I currently am the managing director of a nutraceutical distribution company that is nestled in St. Lucia with distribution throughout the Mauritius Islands. And we are quite happy to add value to those who are interested in improving their health and spread the knowledge to the wider community about wellness. Because, Vic, as we know, we are a sick society and we are sick region. And one of the major issues we are having, and it's something that I stress on, is that the whole wellness approach to health and living. And we have always had multiple conversations. And let me just sidebar and say to your viewers that this gentleman sitting next to me here is not a friend, he's a brother. 45 years of friendship.
I
And the
appreciate
reason it
that.
looks so good is because we have had 45 years of friendship and we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that is an aspect of wellness that is so integral to your personal development and your advancement of your health goals. Because, as you know, one aspect of wellness is social interaction. Maintaining long, healthy relationships also keeps you alive longer. 45 years since we year high, grew up in the village together. I have spent time with his brothers. I've seen him through marriage. I've seen him through chickens. I've seen him through so much. So I want to tell you it's an honor to sit on this podcast with you.
Yeah, well, bro, I just want to, we could talk about, over 40 years of you and I being friends and into this so long that I think we need a separate podcast to just talk with
Of
you and me
course,
alone,
of course,
right?
of course.
So based on the wellness and the nutrition, the things that we have embarked on, all right? One of the things I would say is that, even before when we was younger, like in the teens growing up, we don't understand the importance of sports. We'd have
Ah,
done a lot of sports together. And
well
that
said.
what's happening now is that a lot of the kids, as parents, with the nurturing, they're missing an integral part of childhood growing up, which is physical sports, right? We tend to just feel that putting a tablet in their hand and having them sitting down, that we're doing them justice. We're not doing them justice. We're doing them actual injustice for the future, right? So you and I now look at us and say, wait, them fellas are 45 years under the belt, but we may not look like we have 45 years under the belt, right?
Correct.
The end of the day is based on lifestyle. That's why one of the things that I say as I go in places and speak, right, is that what killing society today is poor lifestyle choices,
And absolutely.
right?
I could stress upon that as well, bro, because you just mentioned the physical aspect of wellness. And wellness has four to five major components. And wellness is the proactive approach to well-being. And it's not just the absence of disease, but it simply means all your activity surrounds a sense of well-being to foster good health and longevity. And that's what wellness is. And it begins in your formative years. In our formative years, we were avid footballers. We were out there playing football 7 days a week. We were physical and we were sportsmen. And one of the things that added to our cardiovascular strength, our immune strength, was that exposure to vitamin D on a daily basis. We're in the sunlight. Remember us playing 9 a.m. and then 12 a.m. football. You don't see that anymore. Because of environmental changes, young persons may say it's too hot out there, we can't get out there. But the physical activity has led to a lot of young persons being obese. We have never had a large, according to World Health Organization, on average, 27% of children are obese. Almost 30% of young people are obese. We would have gone to school, my brother. And you will recall, bro, in our class, and forgive me for saying, I know you two may want to block you, but we don't euphemize the facts. We're going to call fat on this podcast. We okay with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Attending school and in class, there was always one fat kid. Now I look at my son and I attend school with him and the class, 30-40% of the class is overweight. 30 or 40% of the class is overweight. And quite recently here, I son was overweight at about 10, 11. We were able to get him into physical program. And 2 years later, the boy called himself an athlete. He's
Yeah.
an athlete, 0% body fat.
Yes.
0% body fat. And he's in school with friends. And I'm going to give this simple analogy of what transpired. So I got him over at school. And in the midst, he introduced me to his friend. His friend is overweight. This young guy is age 13, but he's about 30 pounds overweight. Maybe 30 to 40 pounds on his small frame. And I saw him and I wanted to know why he was that overweight. And then one fateful day while dropping off my son, I saw him exit the car. His parents exited the car and I understood why. His parents were 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 pounds overweight. So what we have is cultural habits of not fostering a sense of diet and well-being that is now intergenerational, that's going from one to the other.
And you know,
I'm heading with this, yes.
yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And I definitely want to say something on that because actually, I think about 2 days ago, I had this conversation with some people that I was talking to, and I told them what we have been passing on to our children and our children trend is generational bad habits,
Correct.
right? So
Absolutely.
what has been happening is that our grandparents would have passed on some bad habits that there was no way of, and it's fine. But we living in a world where the information is right there. We know the research on sugar, we know the research on flour, we know the research on
So
everything, salt, everything. But we know the research. But what's happening, my brother, is this, right? I was telling who it was about, but anyhow, a conversation. Now, the food that our grandparents and parents, by extension, used to eat, is the same food we eating today. One of the big difference is the process, right? To bring it forward now because of the demand, right? Whether it's chicken, whether it's flour, whatever the case may be, right? I have been seeing, actually on social media now, I have been seeing green apples in a factory and they're painting it red,
yeah.
right? So think about it, when they go to buy apple now, you don't know, it's not originally red in some cases, it's painted red. So imagine that washing off in your stomach now. Everything now, you really have to, you have to read the label, right? You have to read the label. You just can't say, you know what, this apple is red, and I'm going to eat a red apple. Because you're possibly eating a green apple with red coloring that would not add value to your health down the road.
And I agree with you, but I want to get some historical perspective on what you just mentioned there. And I want to take you back 40, 50 years ago. So when we grew up, and person may find we are referencing an era because we are standing before you as physical specimens we are upright, we are in great physical shape.
No glasses, mention that.
No glasses, that's another thing. Both of us are sitting here. I have never worn a spectacle. And we are in our 50s.
Yeah.
I recently outran my two nephews, one 18 and one 13. And they are shocked. I was outplanking my nephews. Imagine that. I can't one my son. I don't be fast. But in our days, my brother, when we grew up, our villages were filled with layers of fruit. I remember mango trees. I remember plum, donks, piwa. I remember sapodillas. Our snacks were all filled with vitamins A, B, C, potassium. They were filled with so many vitamin B12. They were filled with so many nutritional foods and even vegetables that our daily intake prepared us for the position we stand in today. Because one of the things we have to bear in mind as we move forward, the 20-year-old will, what the 20-year-old consumes will take care of the 30-year-old. And what the 30-year-old consumes will take care of the 40-year-old.
Yes,
There's a transitioning movement into wellness that is one foot in front of the other, or in this case, one food in front of the other. We never had processed food because once a week we went to the shop, they bought powder, and we bought the biscuits and stuff, but that was a rarity because the preparation that we see happening now is totally different. Parents are going to the supermarket and buying these large bags of $20 snacks that shine in the sun. I ain't gonna call the name because they might give you a shine. The one that shine in the sun, big bag of snacks. 20 to 30 different snacks in that bag, and the style that children are consuming processed food on an ongoing basis. I am now sitting and I'm encouraging my family to snack on soursop. We snack on soursop. We sit down at night, almonds. We snack on that. We snack on sapodillas. We are snacking on what we call zabaka. And please, I have a pet peeve when they start talking about pear and they start calling it foreign name. It's called zabaka. That's the Caribbean thing. We love the Caribbean thing. We have Caribbean business. They have some fancy names that call it guacamole and all. It's zabaka. So we like to eat our zabakas because that's the green fruit kind of as an antioxidant as well. Good for heart health and digestion. These are the things we knew and our parents knew, but we have migrated from that into a North American culture that says we are fast, so we want their food. And they're damn right. We were fast to interfere with their culture, so we get their food, and by extension, we now have inherited their disease.
Yes, in a third world country, where that when you're sick, the support is not there. But so we pick up the first world habits, but we don't have the first world care, right? So that is why, my brother, as we were talking the other day, is that mentioned about fruits and things like that we grew up on, which is true, right? And I did a reel the other day, and I said that in Trinidad in particular, we so adapted to that American style diet that it proved to be more detrimental to us than anything else, right? And what I've realized that, as you mentioned it just now, there is that what you do in your 30s preparing you for down the road, obviously, right? And I just tell people is that let your future self thank you, right?
Well said.
For what you do today, right? I want my future self when I reach 80, 70 to say, hey, Vic, I thank you for it. When I was in 40s or 20s or 20s, boy, you take care of me, right? That is what your future self should be saying to you down the road, right?
Correct.
So the same way you and I can sit down here and say, when you was in your 20s, when you was in your teen, you were sucking mango, climbing mango tree, all these fruits and vegetables we eating. So right now, we are our future self for when we was 20 and 30 and 18 and 19. And we are the living specimens of ourselves saying thanks. So if I look back now and say, boy, when I was 18, 17, I said, boy, Vic, 17-year-old Vic, you did well, boy, because look, I'm here. I suffered from nothing, right? I'm in physically good shape, right? And I am an ambassador to let people know, you know what? If you want to look like me and others, and my brother right there, it's never too late to know. Because
Correct.
if he's 40 now and they want to live till 50, 60, 70, you gotta make that change today. So it's either you eat your food as your vitamin or as your medicine, or down the road your medicine become your food. That's the
Correct.
choice.
That
That's the
is right.
choice. There's
And
no yeah,
yeah, go
there's
ahead.
there's no pulling punches again, Right now, I am a not just an ambassador and advocate for health and wellness, I am a gladiator, right? For health and wellness. Because you know what?
I love
Nobody
that.
is saying it. So I going on vicious to let people know here going on. Make a change today. There's no, well, maybe no, you gotta make it today. Because guess what? If you make it today, right? Tomorrow don't belong to you, it don't belong to me. Right? Do something good today for our health. And you know, one thing, bro, I was thinking what day it was, right?
Go ahead.
I never hear nobody die from not brushing their teeth one day. I never heard that in my life. Nobody they forgot to brush this morning and you die this evening.
Right.
But since we small, we were taught to brush your teeth. We're going through adult,
Right.
everybody. We do some
Dental
things
hygiene is important.
right. It's
Yeah.
important. We practice that routine because we was told that it's good for our for our dental health. Everybody who have poor health today, they know what they're not supposed to do, But why it is we don't prioritize our health? You know what we prioritize? We prioritize. Let me tell you something we prioritize, my brother. We prioritize getting up in the morning, putting on my shoes, because it was told that we can't go to work barefoot. All right? So we get up in the morning, put on our shoes, we jump in the car, right? We reach the work, and we giving our health a back seat for somebody else's job, a front
And,
seat.
and you brought up a vital point I want to get to.
Right?
We were just discussing our historical moorings and how, and at a younger youthful age, we had access to foods and we had access to vegetables. Those same foods that were free, and many a time we scale a neighbor fence or wall access those foods, and the neighbor would chase us and we'll have some fun. Those same foods that we ate, from the plums to the Portugals, the tuberaks, all of those foods that were healthy and nutrition and had high concentration of nutritional value, are now packaged and sold in supermarkets at an exorbitant cost. Have you
Yeah.
ever tried to buy mangoes recently?
Yes.
Correct. The same Julie mangoes that we ate freely. I got up at 6 a.m. and got a bucket full of mangoes by 6:20. And we will enjoy those, a pigtail bucket. We will enjoy those. That pigtail bucket is now almost 1,000,
Yeah.
$1,500 if you have to
Yeah.
buy that. We got it free. So what has happened is that because of consumerism and commerce, the free food has now turned into the most expensive food. And there's
Yeah.
another stress that has caused. There are five pillars of wellness. One is spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, social, and the last one is financial wellness. Those are the five pillars of wellness, which is the proactive approach that will allow you to stay above getting ill. I want to deal with financial a little while though, because that analogy I just made about the fact that now you're heading to the Macy's and the supermarkets and buying the same food that we ate freely all day long. You now have to pay 20, 30, $40. I held a Hannah banana recently, which I got from our backyard 30 years, 40 years ago at one of the supermarkets. And the girl watched me and tell me $20. And it is six bananas. How am I paying $20 for six bananas? when years ago that was free. So it brings me to the point that same banana philosophy of financial wellness and the fact that a lot of persons cannot afford to be healthy. My brother, one of the problems we are facing is affordability.
Mm.
Financial wellness is a great aspect, and according to the World Health Organization, it is the number one stressor in every and the average person's life. It's twofold. Most don't have enough, and those are able to have a bit more than the average individual is mismanaged and they're heavily in debt. The
Yeah,
number one thing that's getting us extremely sick, Vic, is money.
yeah,
And you know the number one place that under financial wellness that jumps out as the number one stressor for the average individual, they won't
yeah.
believe that. Work.
And-
Work, the job. People are being paid to die. They're dying to be paid and being paid to die in the job that's stressing them out the worst. And the stress, the body stress response for what they're going through for, in terms of financially, because most can't meet their domestic consumption. Let me show this idea before you jump. Let me show this analogy before you jump back in. I spoke to a young lady a couple of days ago, and when I called her, she sounded down. So I said to her, I said, "Why you sound like if somebody died?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Who?" She said, "My salary." I said, "Yes, salary." She said, "Yes."
yeah.
I met him in September, and I decided to do a trip into October. I made it, but my salary didn't survive the trip from September to October. Her salary died
Yeah.
on the journey from month end September into October, and that has been what is that financial struggle is facing hundreds of thousands, even millions of persons, not just in Trinidad but the wider Caribbean. How do I afford to be healthy when a box of organic cornflakes is 188 in the supermarket? I saw that today, 188, and a box of KFC is 40 something dollars. What are my choices? One of the problems we are having is money. Most persons are only getting by, and that lends to a lot of stress, my brother. See that financial stress? It is destroying family. If you ask someone, what are the two main things that destroy a relationship? What is the first one? Money, then sex. Trust me, sex is way down on the run. I know couples who are sexless for a couple of years, but they're still living in the nice house with the nice car, taking the kids to school. They're not intimate for years, but the money keeps them involved. So it's not really sex. The number one thing that destroys relationship and causes abundance of stress, it is money. It is finance, not having enough. We may preach Paul and Saul until the cows come in. But how do we tell a mother, a single mother with 3 kids who works in what we consider a good government job, gets home at 4:30, jumps in her car and has to do taxi and rideshare till 8 o'clock because her September salary didn't survive the trip into October.
Yeah.
How do we mitigate that? How do we tell that particular person, you need to be healthy, you need to go on wellness, you need to start buying this and doing this? I told her why do she's now overweight because she's sitting all day from 8 to 4, leaves her government job, then gets into a taxi and drives rideshare for 4 hours to ensure that she can put food on the table and send her 3 kids to school. How could we then discuss wellness when she's struggling financially to tell her you need to buy fruits and vegetables when all she could afford is that large pack of processed salty snacks for her children that had the sun shining it all of the time? How do we then tell her that she needs to go in
uh,
and start buying right fruits and vegetables? I told her to lose the weight, you should start to exercise, whatever in your neighborhood. And her response was this: with what? My work shoes? She said, what's for a good pair of sneakers to run around the neighborhood? We have to realize that we have a traumatized society, not by crime, by financial rules. And when
yeah.
persons are financially bereft, and when they're in the throes of debt, like one woman said to me, she had been hospitalized for a week. I say, why? They repossessed her car, and when she came out, the car was gone. She couldn't pick up her children, got a panic attack, and which morphed into a heart attack, and she had to be hospitalized. What do you think her problem was? Ill health? It was finance. Finance is the
Yeah.
number one cause, my brother, and the number one stressor in most persons' lives. And that is the issue we have to treat with first before we start delving into the realms of wellness. We want you to be well, we want you to be healthy, but you telling me after I pay my light bill, my phone bill, my rent or my mortgage, a little car payment because I'm not driving a Mercedes, a simple car, what I have left is enough to make it back to work for the next 20 to 24 days.
Yeah.
Financial in financial debt and the fact that we don't have enough money in circulation to combat the ravages of inflation and the cost of living, and also going to a job that most of us practically hate or dislike because it's niceness is killing us softly and slowly.
No, you said a lot there, my brother. And when I end this podcast, so much people start this podcast and we just talk about encouragement, just like myself, encouraging people to health, be healthier, eat better, make the right choice, exercise, drink more water, this and that. But the core of the problem is what you mentioned there. That's the foundation of
Affordability. I cannot afford it.
you can't afford it. And I've heard that so many times. Even my TV appearance, the host said that. When they talk health with people, the first thing come out of their mouth, eating eating healthy is expensive. And
Correct.
and it doesn't mean expensive by $1,000 for something that is 100. It becomes $1,000, or it look like $1,000 because of all the other things that you have to put first, right? So when you go to a job, nobody job will match up. The salary will ever match up to the cost of living. That's a
No.
no-no. So what is happening is that if you put based on what you're saying, my brother, if you put a extra $500 in somebody's hand at the end of the month, and you tell them, what, use that wisely, health wouldn't be on top of their priority,
Nope, because
right?
they debt. How could they put health
Ex-
when I'm behind in my rent, right?
right,
You're hiding
right,
from your landlord because you're paying. We're in October, but you're still paying August rent. You're
yeah,
2 months
yeah,
behind, and your whole and a lot of persons in our society, and this is something we have to discuss as well, are playing skip. And a lot of persons are paying skip. What is skip? We take these bunch of bills and we pay these and we skip the others for next month. So they are paying skip. They're skipping one month in, 1 month out. 1 month in, 1 month out. We are playing skip with our bills. And a lot of people are, and the problem I'm having, bro, is that we are suffering in silence within the castles of our skin. I had a very interesting conversation with four separate individuals who are not aware of each other just this week. And what was tragic about that discussion was they were all in their late 50s and some were retired in the 60s. Another big issue we are having that is impacting health and wellness and longevity is the fact that our retirees are suffering. 83% of most persons who are about to retire, who are on their way to retire, are going to retire poor. 83%. A friend of mine said to me just this week, he went from $15,000 a month into retirement down to 5,000. He has a mortgage that is 5,500. So he is in a deficit from month one. He now has to hustle and convert his work related vehicle into a taxi and try to do some sort of side job in order to survive in his golden years. One guy also said to me, Vic, and it's tragic, and these stories are real stories. It's tragic that at 58, he retired with an inadequate pension and he now applied for jobs. And he never believed that so many people could treat you as old as he thinks he's not. He said they've treated him 10 years older. He refused to hire him at 58. He can't get another job to supplement his income. There's a whole legion of retirees out there, and some of us who are in our 50s. This is a cautionary tale for you out there. Many of you are not aware of what your pension will be. You're not talking to HR. HR is not speaking to you, and you don't know what you're going to retire on. And when that day comes and you realize that you're down to 50% of your income, and that gratuitous payment that you thought, that huge net egg, by the way, guys, 300, 400,000 no money. You have to recognize that is no money. That's about 55 to 60,000 US. That is no money. You could blow through that in a couple months. And a lot of persons are not even quantifying what their retirement income is. And they're in the 50s. Retirement is 3 years away, 4 years away. I have launched a campaign to speak to persons in their 50s and 40s about prudent planning for retirement and how you can augment that income in order to facilitate the fact that you would retire with a measure of dignity and don't have to move in with your children and have to be subjected to their whim and fancy. Guys, and these are real issues, bro. This is happening every day. It have somebody right now watching this, studying how they're about to pay the rent, how
You
to
know,
put the gas in the car to make it back to work. And as a young lady said to me, I am only being paid to work to get to work. I said, of course, you are being paid to work. She said, no, brother, you have that equation wrong. I just earn enough money to pay 2 bills, and then the rest of my money, more than 30% is used to get back to 35% is used to get back to the job and come away from the job. I have no extra money, so I am really working to mind the work.
yeah, and you know, there's some pointers I want to hit on based on what you said there, bro. First, I want to start with the let me start with the latter part of the conversation. You know, the guys who retire 50 something, 58, whatever. To get a job at 60, 58, after you work 50 and 40 years in a company,
Hmm.
you leave with that pension, right? So here they say, here we're putting it. When you was younger, you're sacrificing your health for the job, right? You sacrifice your health, you work straight through the job till you reach 55 or 60, right? You don't sacrifice your health already, you sacrifice your family, your health, your everything. When you retire now, you realize, but wait now, this isn't really working. So when it's supposed to be enjoying the fruits of your labor and your family, you cannot, right? And you go and look for another job. Your health done deteriorate 95% already, right? Because you sacrificed that in the early, in the younger days. Remember what I said? Eat your food today as your medicine, as down the road your medicine become your food. So
Correct.
when you sacrifice your medicine in the early, which is your food, down the road when it's supposed to be enjoying the fruits of your labor because you eat properly and in your health, you take your health and you put your health as priority. What would happen now when you're 60, 55, 60, you go and look for a job, right? And it will be a different job than what you was doing for all the 30, 40 years. You ain't gonna live long. If you make 4 or 5 years, that's at the end of that. So what I'm saying is that what is sense? What sense it is, my brother? And I've seen this where I work. People retire at 60 and 2 years after they die.
Correct.
Right? 3 years after. I've seen this. I've seen all of you talk about that people complain about their pension after 40 years, 30 years. Right? But when they start to complain, the money that you're going to get 3,000 something, whatever pension, it cannot pay any medical bill. Zero.
Absolutely
Right?
not.
Right? So your family who you sacrifice down the road, your health that is sacrificed down the road for that job that replace you before Monday morning, right? Who really win? Your family struggling to keep you alive. You can't keep yourself alive. The company want to part of you, right? So all you're going to do now is just die, right? And you just exist in life. You never enjoy life. And the people you claim you was working for when you was younger can't enjoy it because you sick and dying. You stressing them out now. They'll be in and out the public sector, right? And you know how that is go, right? And you're stressing the same son and daughter that you say you love. You're stressing them out because your health in a mess. You had to go every day for injection. So you can't. You have no money to go private and kind of tweak it a little bit. So the end of the result, the carrot that we try to catch when we 20s and 30s in a company, which we don't ever catch, but we give up our health and family to catch something that we can't catch. It pays zero dividends,
Correct. Correct. And
Zero
absolutely.
dividends.
I want to jump on what you just said there. The fact that we are living in the vineyards pretty hard. And what is happening now is a twofold scenario. We thought that COVID would have right sized the whole imbalance, work life imbalance in
Hijab. The jab. We call it the jab.
Yeah, the job. But we
Yeah.
thought it would have created a somewhat of a balance because we were sequestered in our homes. We got to spend time with family. And we realized because of what was taking place, the value of having this social interaction and loved ones close to us. And on the topic of wellness, that social interaction is also what extends your life and make you live longer. But COVID opened up a couple cracks. A number of individuals and relationships didn't survive COVID because some persons realized they couldn't stand the person they've been married to. And thank God for the job, they're out of the house for 12 hours. But when the economy reopened and we were able to establish some sort of balance again and get back out to work, we returned to the spirit of busyness. And when I hear a lot of individuals tell me how busy they are, I called a gentleman and he said he couldn't see me until 2 weeks he's that busy. I am That's not a badge of honor. Being that busy, you don't have time for your children and social life and what needs to be done and to build your family is not a badge of honor. Stop wearing it like a badge of honor.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah,
When
yeah,
I hear
yeah.
that word, a real busy, it kind of comes to mind that you're mismanaged. It comes to mind that you have not sat down. I called the executive of a multi-million-dollar company. I said, I need to see you. Nobody said to me, no problem. I have a space between 7 and 8 tonight. Can you visit me or want to give me a call and we do it online? This is a man who runs a multi-million-dollar company. I have persons who just in standard jobs and they act as busy as ever. And for me, that is mismanagement of your time,
Of yourself.
of the self and the time.
Yes. Anytime. Yeah.
It's important that we have a balance. We begin to balance work and life. And spending time with your family enhances and extends your health span. What is your health span? Your health span is the period of time that you have remained healthy for. When last were you sick? If you want to know how stressed out you are and how depleted your immune system is, monitor how often you get ill. That is your health span. And your health span ties into your ties into your longevity and also your mortality. So many of us out there are working with not just 8 hours, because there's a shortfall in finance. Many of us are working 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 7 to 3, and thereafter we get into what is called the gig economy, side hustle. Everybody have a side hustle, and most persons are working 8 to 4 physically. Whether you're sitting at a desk or you're in a factory or whatever you do, you are laboring. You're up since 5 a.m. and then you work your 8 to 4, your 7 to 3, and then after that you go on your drive ride share. You go on your hustle at a bar. You do like the teachers, and a lot of teachers are teaching 7 days a week just to make that income to treat with their disposable and domestic demands. And so we are working 12, 14 hour days for 6 and sometimes 5 and 6 days a week. The tragedy of that, we are burnt out. We don't have time for our social life. We don't have time for children. We don't have time for our relationship. So what you have in abundance is what is called a breakdown of your social structure that adds to your well-being and wellness. So we
Well,
are suffering because of that lack of money. And in the midst of that, like you just said, we're not eating healthy.
we sacrificing.
We are sacrificing and we are not eating healthy.
Exactly. So the thing about it is, which and to piggyback on what you were saying there about the most people have a side hustle, and by all means, the society push you to have a side hustle based on the economy and what you want to get in and the walks of life. But here this, when you do a side hustle based on the 8 to 4, the 7 to 3, the 9 to 5, it takes out of
Correct. It's
right?
labor intensive.
It's labor
People are moving
intensive,
from laboring 8 to 4 to laboring from 4 to 8.
right?
So that's 12
Exactly.
hours of labor intensive activities, and
Right.
and you're getting 5 hours sleep.
Right. And guess what you're sacrificing for that? Your family, that is important to your health. Yourself, which is most important to your health, right? Because if you put yourself first, then what is the sense? And one of the things that I keep saying, Brian, is this: no matter what, whether it's family, job, house, car, your health is most important than anything,
It is.
right?
Your
right?
body is the greatest asset you'll
Your
ever
body
own.
is the greatest asset
Asset,
because
the greatest asset. Forget
because
land, forget real
forget
estate. The greatest
everything.
asset you'll ever own is that sits that you live in.
Be,
Because
be,
the
be,
only asset you'll have to live in.
right. And guess what? You go to a man who's dying or a woman who's dying or whatever, everything, and they say, boy, this fella healthy, but he broken. If he gives some blood, he will be healthy. And the man see $1 million. The man who have money will give 1 million to save his life. He'll give 10 million to save his life.
Correct.
Right? Because at that stage you realize, you know what? Health is more important than your wealth down the road. Right? Because at 40, 30, 50, whatever, if your health is okay, you could acquire some form of level of financial health, wealth, even if you didn't start proper. But if you're, and basically what happening now, that people in the 30s and 40s are diabetic.
Hmm.
Right? You and I know this, right? I bounce up some people, my brother. If there are people in this country and in the world treat the dog better than themselves,
Huh.
they treat the pet better than themselves because every single month they carry the dog by the vet to get a shot, to do this, to do that. Every 3 months, they was told if you go carry a cat to service, the chances are you may have some problem down the road. Every 3 months, the phone have reminders. They carry the car to get service. They check their
I
tires.
know about
They
to
make
talk
sure
about
everything
that.
good. And guess what? Ask them, especially men, when last they go to the doctor and take a checkup on themselves.
And you hit the nail right there. Um, Research again done by the University of Albany indicated that women are the purveyors and the captains of health in most families. Women are the one who are more health conscious than men. And that's one of the reasons why the longevity rate for women or the life expectancy for women is always 7 to 10 years beyond men. And I always make this joke. I tell women, if you're married, take out a life insurance on your husband. More than likely, there's a 80% chance you're going to die. There's an
Yeah.
80% chance. Most of the centenarians who are alive today are women. The longest living person on the earth today at 118 is a woman. So women outlive men by 7 to 10 years or even longer, simply because of the fact that we do not seek medical attention. We are the last to seek medical. We're always good, and it's always gas. I don't know why so many men look at Ramco. I still want to understand why Ramco hires about 1 million men also. Why? Because every problem a man has is gas, and he systematically looks to avoid visiting a doctor because we are very macho in the Caribbean. Guys, let me tell you something. Every year I go by my doctor because I'll tell you this: preventative health, and your grandmother always says this: prevention is better than cure. What is easier to treat or to avoid? It's easier to avoid. And I want to throw this to your audience, guys, because I think that it's not common knowledge. If you're part of a group plan at work, if your employer has a group plan or a health plan for you, and I advocated this when I had my health center, with nestled within that group plan that you pay for or you don't pay for is whether you contribute. It is a provision called preventative care or a wellness package. It's there. It has a fixed figure of 800, 12, 15, some is about 2,000 according to where you sit. That allows you to have a free medical checkup annually. Guys, I want to say it again because many of you are not aware of that. Because either one, you have never reviewed your group health plan, or two, your HR has not properly given you the full explanation of the benefits under that plan. You have a free annual checkup once a year. Free. And it comes with a full primary care checkup, all of your vitals, blood works as well. And it's defined in the plan. So if you have a health plan, get to your HR department and ask them what is the preventative care or the wellness package I'm allowed to have annually. And if you have a family plan, every member of the family can go for a checkup done. So we have to stop treating our cars better than treat ourselves. That's one of the problems we have, knowledge. So with the dispensation of knowledge will allow us to better take care of ourselves. So, bro, that is one of the things I want to throw out to the audience. So, if you're in a good plan, you're allowed a free medical checkup once a year, and it's defined in your health plan for $1,000, $1,500. What I found, Vic, and I'm going to make this point before we move on. I lived in North America for a while, as you know. And when I lived across from my North American neighbors, who are lighter hued than me, with straighter hair, my Caucasian neighbors, one of the things, 1 January, I saw they were very excitedly boasting the day before that they're heading out, they have the medical tomorrow, they have to go to the doctor, and the kids were all, the family of 5, husband, wife, and 3 kids, and they were excited that, the kids were excited that tomorrow they go to see Dr. Brown. But Dr. Brown gives them lollipop and says, what, who's ill? Nobody. The entire family was loaded into their vehicle the following morning to head off for a full medical checkup under the ambit of preventative care. How many of you for this year, we in October, have been to a doctor? How many of you? My father was 83 years old and he boasts he had not been to a doctor for almost 40 years. All his organs failed and he passed in July. He had stomach cancer and refused to go check it out at the doctor. And sat there with stomach cancer for almost 2.5 years. Taking all sorts of gas pill and gas tablets. And no matter how we implored him to go to the doctor, he blatantly refused. And that is a corollary of the black men in the Caribbean. Right now, some of you watching this are diabetic. There are 250,000 plus diabetics in Trinidad, and another 100,000 pre-diabetic who are not aware and walking around skipping, probably out hanging, having a beer tonight, and don't understand why they're feeling like they're feeling, because you won't visit the doctor. Ladies, get your men to the doctor. That's what we have to do. We have to set the appointment for them. When I had my clinic, 90% of the men who came in were bought by their wives. So you are the purveyors of health. Even if you have to give him a trunk ride, give him a trunk ride. Give him a trunk ride. I agree with that. Because in the long run, a debilitating or chronic disease is going to cost you minimum from $100,000 to $250,000.
Well, what I can say,
attack, and what he paid for a bypass surgery is over $250,000, almost $300,000 for a surgery. He didn't have that money, so he sold a vehicle. He sold 2 of his vehicles in order to make up the money.
well, stranger, bro.
Yeah, it.
I would have bounced up a guy who I grew up with, right? And I saw him about a month or so ago in a store, and he would have, hey, he said, Vic, you're looking good. See what you're doing online and all that. That's good, I know. And he said, right now I really take him health seriously because I did an operation. And he would have buttoned on his shirt, bro, right? And I saw a scar from his chest straight down.
Yep.
So he said he did a triple bypass heart surgery. And it cost him, he did that about a few years now. And at that time, he paid $250,000.
That's right.
And so when he said that, you're correct, right? He paid $250,000. Fortunately for him, he had a little business, right? He told me, he said, listen, I've learned my lesson. The things I used to do before, I do no more. The things I used to eat before, I eat no more. The things I used to drink before, I drink no more. But how much of us have $250,000, right, to pay?
The majority of these society are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have
right. So definitely, you quicker have $5,000.
For me, I come to a barbecue.
Right.
For me, I come to a barbecue.
A barbecue, and the chances are you didn't raise that fund. That's one, right? I would have met a girl in the gym, a lady in the gym. She would have seen me on certain platforms, and she asked me if I know anybody, husband of cancer and things like that, And I said, well, I don't know anyone, but you could go to certain doctors that I feel alternative or what have you, right? And the doctors told her before she met me that he's stage 4 cancer, and to do a particular operation that may not work was 2.5 million, right? And that's like a bone graft or whatever the case is, right?
Yes.
So, and she in the gym, she in the gym because she realized what she's going through with her husband, right? Because when he's gone, is she alone? And last week I went and he passed actually, right? So you're pleading to a woman, Brian, to bring the husband or the boyfriend to the doctor, which is good. right? And they should, right? But it's cheaper for the woman to really take on insurance than them because they hadn't.
Yes, Google, YouTube will block you again. You know, YouTube will block you. What you're promoting?
because
What you're promoting?
because
But I
wait a
agree.
second. You know what?
It's cheaper for them to pay the insurance.
Yeah,
That's
because
what's going to take place.
right.
In terms of the projection, we know
You
what's going
know,
to happen.
you know what I see Carl out of? You mentioned when it was in North America out there, where you saw your neighbor,
Load up the car.
they load up
Yep.
the car and they go to the doctor. Car loading in Trinidad and Tobago is take place for probably one or two things. A beach line and a fet. Right?
Correct.
That's two things.
Now, I am not going to begrudge my fetting and my fetting people. We have a good time. But
Yeah.
in the midst of the good time, we have to segue into other things. And I want to throw in the fact that get back to financial wellness as we are heading down and talk about the fact that in order for health to be manageable, we as a people need to come together and pool our resources. And that is something that I am advocating right now. One of the things I'm involved in that I want to promote to millions of persons is a health and wellness discount members club. That's one of the things I'm involved in. And what that club is now doing is making health affordable. And the products that you need, from a detox product to antioxidants to vitamins, because the body needs 40 micronutrients a day to be sustainable to operate how it should operate on an ongoing evolution type manner. So we have launched a health and wellness discount members club. And I don't know if we can put up the link for those persons to see, Vic, because I want persons to get involved. Get involved because your environment is also everything. That is why you have good looking people and good looking fellas, Vic, fit, looking good, hang out together.
Yeah.
Overweight people hang out together. Rich people hang out together. Poor persons hang out together. And unhealthy persons hang out together. So instead of making disease your accountability partner, because more it's estimated that 65% of the persons running around the savannah, their accountability partner is disease or they're overweight. The doctor tells them you need to start to exercise or you will dead. So persons need to exercise. So if you go to a savannah, 65% of the walkers have been diagnosed by their doctors who said you must exercise. So their accountability partner is disease. We need to move away from that philosophy and that narrative. I want you to become part of the largest health and wellness discount members club that makes the products and the supplements and the medication you need affordable because we are pooling our resources. We have pooled our resources. So we are saying you can't afford it alone, pool with us and you'll be able to afford it. So we are advocates for that kind of philosophy because health has to become affordable and most persons are in financial crisis and they're bringing on the outside some of us and hemorrhaging on the inside. We have to stop the bleeding. And to stop it, we also will offer you a bit of finance. We're gonna talk more about it. Vic, can they put the link up? Are they able to put the link up?
Right. So based on what I saw, my back my right, they weren't able to put it up. But here what? Better than that, people, the link will be on my page tonight, right? All my platform, the link will be there. Also go to like my friends who supported me. I'm going to send a link direct to them, Brian.
That's right.
Direct, right? Direct to them. And it will be on the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle podcast. Also, it will be on the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle magazine page on Facebook. It also will be on Instagram, which is Fortress Fitness. You know, the same logo. You will see the link and the information on the heading that Brian would have mentioned there, the Wellness Club. So you all can click the link. You'll go directly to the page that Brian is talking about and see what benefits you'll get based on that wellness plus. And one of the things I want to say to my brother, and I want to tell the viewers that I myself, use supplement from that particular club that you'll have, and I vouch for it, right? Because I know they also have products with turmeric in it, right?
That's right.
Right, and it's very, very. I actually will endorse that because that's one of the thing that fight up inflammation in your body, right? So
Correct.
so that one of the product, I know all of them is great because I partake myself, And the idea of a membership club is what we need to combat, to help each other to combat some of the lifestyle diseases, because we can't do it independently based on the financial position we're in, based on the economy, the jobs, and things like that. You and I can't really correct that in the sense of the economy. There's not our job to correct the economy and what's happening. There are people in place for that. But what we can do is make it affordable for the small man and the small woman to take care of themselves. We'll give them the better product at a cost that they can afford in a club that support each other and support wellness and health as they go forward. Yeah?
Yeah, correct. And we are creating the environment for wellness, guys. And wellness is not a destination, it's an ongoing journey. And you can get wherever you are on your journey. Jump on board with us. Let us walk you through the processes. Let us also be able to help you, because we have several doctors on board. So you can ask medical advice. You can get support from the persons involved in this club. And it's a global club with over 2 million persons involved in it already. And we want you to become part of this because it's a movement. Health and wellness has to be a exciting, dynamic movement that will encourage you to get up and go. And that's exactly what we are trying to do here. I mean, I am in awe to what my brother has been doing for the last year or so. He's on every Saturday. He's on over the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, and he's preaching Paul and Saul, begging persons to get healthier. And at the same token, I am up and down the Caribbean chain, all the way in St. Lucia, all the way to Martinique, Guadeloupe, up to Jamaica. I am across the length and breadth of the region, preaching wellness and letting you know that you do not have to die in a debilitating manner. Lifestyle diseases are exactly what they are. Lifestyle diseases. Change your style, you change your life. You have longevity. You are able to sustain a better level of life. And I said to someone, and I'm going to leave you with this: how do you want to die? I have a radio program out of St. Lucia, guys, and I asked the question, how do you want to die? And that's a fitting question, because many of us will want to die with a huge measure of dignity, with probably a song in our heart and a smile on our face. That is not what has happened to about 70 to 75% of us. Debilitating disease is getting the better of us. And we are leaving this earth in horrendous conditions that are avoidable. So let's decide today how well we want to live in preparation for that final swing, when the chariot swings low and takes us to meet our maker, that we could actually sit there with a song in our heart and a smile on our face and say, I have lived, and I've lived well, and I've lived abundantly.
Very well said, my brother. And before I close on the show, I just always tell people, we cannot change aging, but we can change the way we age, the way that how we treat ourselves today, right? So I want to thank you, my brother. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, and may God bless you. And I know only going to have Brian again, once, twice a month. We're going to come and bring this dynamic team. And as I said, I am a wellness, warrior. I think I passed the stage of ambassador now. I need to be a more aggressive.
A warrior. I like that. You're a wellness warrior.
I'm a wellness warrior. Yeah, and we gotta change it. We gotta go to war on wellness, because wellness on sickness is worrying us.
And we are losing the battle.
And we lose. My brother, we're losing the battle. And right now, we under siege with sickness. So people, we are warriors, all right, against this lifestyle disease. So Brian, Victor, and myself, if you want to deal with this, look for warriors. Join us in the battle, right? So have a blessed night, people. And until next time, this is Vic here from Fortress Fitness Podcast. Have a blessed night.
Thanks for watching. Special thanks to our partners, Virtuoscope VA Services, where you get virtual services done your way. See you next weekend, same time, same place.